Hi, incredible community. Hi, exceptional existence community. Mwah! Hi, guys. Well, today I want to talk to you guys about, I'm really trying to get into the video fast. I'm not like, let's just get to the point, Louise, get to the point. So today we're going to talk about the idea of thinking makes it so. So I've mentioned this before, but it's the idea of, not what happens to you in life, but actually the story that you attach to it or the thoughts you give to it in terms of what happens to you in life and what thinking you put behind it, or perhaps what situation you find yourself in and how you approach it with your thoughts. And I see this happen again and again. So when I do the exceptional existence reboot method, which is a subconscious reprogramming using scent, the same thing can happen to two people, the exact same thing, but it's the thinking that they put on top of that creates a very different pizza. Think of it like, just thought of this. Think of it like a pizza. The crust is the situation. The toppings are the thoughts. And you either get a really nice pizza or you get a really shitty one, right? So the idea of, it's really interesting because actually I wanted to share another story in relation to this. So last week, you guys know that we did a women's event. And there was an incredible woman in the crowd, and she was going through a divorce. And she was talking about, we were talking about sexuality, intimacy, and love. And we were talking about the idea of scheduling time to really, work on your relationship, give to your partner, receive from your partner, and things like that. And she said, that feels so scheduled. It just feels so scheduled when you kind of put it into some sort of, like, for example, on a Sunday afternoon at 4:00, then we commit this time to us being a couple and we spend hours together, etc., etc. So then at that point, I actually jumped on the microphone and I said to her, I encourage you to look at it differently. So if, say, for example, you were going to the gym every morning at 9 a.m. and that was a sacred practice for you, then that would be an act of self-love. And you would look at that and you wouldn't think, oh, look at this, like me trying to unromanticize gym workouts and looking after my body. I should just see how it goes and leave it to the wind. Well, actually, then you're probably not going to work out and you probably won't get that time for self-love. The same applies with a relationship. When you're working on a relationship, it's not something that just work. I think so often with relationships, we think that we get into them and they just work for the rest of time and it should be easy. It's not. And for some reason, we don't pay attention to relationships in many cases. So at that point, I said to her, I encourage you to look at it differently. Instead of looking at it as scheduling romantic time, look at it as making sure you make time for your partner because they are important to you. And at that point, you've changed the way you think about it. And then some of those women might go home and think, you know what, actually, I really should schedule that because I don't make it priority. And if I make it a priority, it means I care about it because we do the things we care about, right? We prioritize the things that we care about. So if you're in a relationship, then care about the relationship and make sure you make time for it as a priority. And this is an example of how thinking makes it so. So when you're sitting there, if you can just change the thought, sometimes you can change the whole situation. The way you look at it, the way you approach it, and what you do moving forward. So guys, I really encourage you, the next time you feel something bad about something, it's the thoughts you're giving to it, right? It's all about the thoughts. The thoughts create the feeling, so change the thoughts. Think about how it is that I can change my thoughts about this situation that I find myself in. How can I change the thoughts that I'm giving to this situation? Because you have the power to do that, because you created the thoughts, therefore you can change them. All right. And again, exceptional existence mantra, be kind to yourself, take easy, slow steps, but make sure you do take steps, even if they're small. All right, guys. So in terms of action items, think about situations and perhaps situations in your life where things aren't feeling right. You're not really positive about the situation at hand, and look at it. Really start to look at it and think, you know what? The way I'm thinking about the situation is my choice, and therefore I can change that. And I choose to think differently because thinking makes it so. So change the thinking. Palitza! I'm like, who's hiding that? Hello, baby, real time. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to go. Remember, if you think that there's somebody in your life who needs to change their thinking, please do share this post with them by tagging them in the comment section below. Don't forget to join our movement if you already haven't. And remember, guys, an exceptional existence is your birthright. So go out and grab it with both hands because it's truly, truly waiting for you. Good night, guys.